I am betting $4 million on a major trade on Ethereum, and on today's update video I want to be talking about the power of tree pattern, which is right now exactly playing out. I'm going to be talking about how this works on both ways and how this is likely going to be playing out once again. I'm going to be talking about the major divergence where no one is talking about, and honestly this is quite a big deal here, and I really want you to know exactly about this divergence. Of course, I want to be talking about the massive offset we are seeing in the M2 global money supply, and obviously what this means right now for the market. Of course, I'm going to be talking about a Bitcoin trade, where Bitcoin is currently standing, where we should be looking out for, and of course the historical patterns we always see whenever we see these major bottoms occur. So this and much more will be getting discussed on today's update video. So this and much more will be getting discussed on today's video. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, slap on that like button, and let me dive straight away in towards this video. So normally my videos are more dedicated in towards Bitcoin, but today I want to be going a little bit deeper in towards a massive trade I am taking here on Ethereum, because this trade I am currently opening is quite a big one, because like you can see over here, the quantity size is right now 4.37 million US dollars, and it's got a value of about 1900 Ethereum. So yeah, this is quite a big trade like you can currently see here. And I am betting heavily on the next targets, and I want to be discussing it right on today's update video. So first of all, I've been looking at some on-chain data, right? So in the most recent crash towards the downside on the conflict in the Middle East, we saw one of the largest long liquidations of Ethereum we have seen in the last year. And this long liquidation accounted for about 388,000 Ethereums. And also what was the case is that the funding rates remain to be low here, and that basically is right now mirroring the fact that, yeah, not a lot of people are overexcited about ETH right now. Well, the price is actually particularly low, right? And we're also getting quite a big update, the EP7702, which will cut the block time in half, which is a very bullish update, which is going to come very, very soon here. So there are a lot of bullish catalysts, but of course, since we have seen a lot of these longs getting wiped out, it makes it all more attractive for me to actually enter that position. And at the same time, if we're looking at the Ethereum mega whale accumulation, we're seeing that they are not distributing, but these whales are accumulating. And of course, we're seeing exactly the same happening on the spot Ethereum ETF as well. They have bought over $71 million worth of Ethereum yesterday. And yeah, we can just see that the balance of accumulation addresses are literally going parabolic. So indeed, the price hasn't really reflected an insane move yet so far, but what we are currently clearly seeing is that something big is brewing. And of course, I've talked about this fake out also in my previous videos, but actually right now we are creating one of the most obvious patterns I've seen in a very long time here. I mean, of course, you could also approach it differently with, of course, also this fake out on the top side. But in this case, I'm going to be viewing it like this. This is the power of tree pattern. I mean, this pattern works both directions with, of course, manipulation towards the upside and then a big drop towards the downside, or with, of course, a bullish scenario where you first see the consolidation, the fake out towards the downside, and then you get the exponential rally towards the upside. And that is, of course, exactly what we have seen so far. And of course, I've discussed this in many videos as well before. We have seen always these bottoms for Bitcoin, but also for the entire market getting formed in these periods where maximum fear occurs. Maybe whenever Trump, of course, was revealing his plan for the tariffs. Maybe when, of course, the US enters the Iran conflict, or the Japanese carry trade FAT, or the FTX liquidation fear, or the SVB bank that was facing liquidation. So there's always some fear in the market, but this time around, once again, a lot of people got fooled here. Well, actually, like you can see on my trade over here, I accumulated in that bottom because I am very convinced Ethereum is going to be running higher, and that I'm currently getting quite a good entry. And this pattern once again is going to be playing out here. A realistic price target is going to be all the way up here, first of all towards the top side of the range. That is where I have set up my first take profit targets, because yes, that is most likely going to be a big level of resistance, but of course ultimately a realistic target is going to be 3,100 to about 3,000 US dollars. But talking really about my price targets of Ethereum, my ultimate target for my trades and for my spot trades as well here is going to be 4,100 US dollars. And of course, I'm going to be leaving about 20% open of my trade to hit that $5,700 target. But that's a little bit more of a riskier target. And that is why I will close approximately 80% of my positions already around that 4,100 US dollar level. So I'm probably going to be doing it a little bit earlier, maybe 39, maybe 4,000, because yeah, that is just where the clear big resistance on the weekly time frame lays here. And for me, it's too big of a risk to actually hold that trade open. But for now, at least, I think if we can get this fake out towards the upside, 3,000 to about 3,200 US dollars is going to be a very realistic target for this next leg towards the upside on Ethereum. And obviously, I just showed you the pattern of 3 here. It happens not only on Ethereum, but also on the way bigger perspective on the crypto total market cap here, excluding the top 10. So altcoins are looking quite good here. And what is a very big coincidence right now is that altcoins historically have always bottomed in June. So that is very interesting to be seeing right now here. So let's see how this is obviously going to be playing out here. But now I also want to be talking about the major offset we're creating. Because so far, it's either Ethereum that is following Coin, that is the Coinbase stock here, or it is the Coinbase stock that's following Ethereum. But for the last year or so, it has been actually reflecting the price absolutely perfect. The Coinbase stock and Ethereum have been moving in a very similar way here, but now we're seeing a big divergence with the Coinbase stock going absolutely parabolic. And maybe this is because there's some very bullish news that hit the market. The stablecoin bill passed the Senate, and that will make it very likely that the United States of America will become the superpower of the cryptocurrency web. So that is very interesting to see here. So right now, Coinbase is going absolutely parabolic. And the question is, when is ETH going to be following as well here? And of course, we're seeing a very similar story on the Bitcoin chart, right? Bitcoin has been perfectly following the M2 money supply. Here, the line in blue is the M2 money supply. The orange line is the Bitcoin chart. You can see there's a very big coincidence between each other. And right now, the M2 money supply is going in a very rapid expansion phase here. And the question remains, is Bitcoin going to be following that trend right now here? And obviously, there's right now a big trade luring here on Bitcoin on this bull flag pattern. If we are going to be breaking outside of this bull flag pattern, the consensus is that we're going to be seeing a big continuation higher. Obviously, the most important resistance is going to be $110,000. So that is going to be the level where we're going to be looking at here. But for Bitcoin, it's very obvious. And of course, if Bitcoin is going to be seeing that continuation of the bull flag, which is very likely, the consensus is, of course, that Ethereum is going to be following. And of course, the targets I just mentioned are the targets where I'm looking at. And if I'm going to be looking at a little bit more of the shorter time frame, we can see that right on the 12-hour time frame. We had that bullish crossover on the MACD here. And the last time we saw that bullish crossover on the MACD was on this chart right here, right? And that was, of course, the beginning of this slight little run towards the upside to about 2,900 US dollars. So, yeah, that was also a very big move for ETH here. But in general, we are just looking quite good in this market right here. So, yeah, this is what I'm currently looking at, guys, here. But anyways, this was it for me in today's update video. I mean, the market is really coiling up here. The charts are really telling the perfect story right here. Please do not fade it. I've seen this pattern so many times before here, and I am betting very heavily on it with my multi-million-dollar trade here. So this was it for me in today's update video. If you did enjoy it, slap on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.